I planned to change all of that, quickly. The walls of the corridor I now proceeded down on my way to the hospital library were a glaring example. Covered in what probably had once been a cheerful yellow wallpaper, the walls were now dingy, and the framed landscapes on them were covered in dust. Disgraceful. The odour of the building was the same no matter which of the 4 floors I walked, and I paced through them all daily. I fully intended to replace the stench of stale urine and unwashed linens that had befouled Cavendish Square with the orderly smells of carbolic soap and vinegar. Heaven only knew how long that would take, especially since it was blended with the odour a building takes on when it has been abandoned for a long time. It is a peculiar smell, the essence of loss and despair. However, what was unique to the place, and it was oddly comforting to me, was that instead of unvarying wards full of beds in long, orderly rows, the large rooms of the home had been carved into smaller rooms. Thus each inmate had privacy, almost as if she were being treated at home. It meant fewer inmates could be accommodated, and was certainly more work for the nurses, who must constantly enter and exit rooms rather than shifting from bed to bed, as was typical. But in the experience of my youth, caring for family members and local villagers, I had done exactly that, gone from home to home and room to room. I had many ambitious plans for refurbishing the establishment, but right now I only wanted to confirm a theory about the spread of malaria. The supposition had popped into my mind while I waited in the bank's lobby to conduct my business. The sound of my heels echoed on the oak floors as I made my way to the library. The floors were scraped and worn, as though large trunks had been carelessly dragged along them by servants. It made for a very poor presentation to inmates and visitors to the facility. I made a mental note to ask the hospital's committees for money to have the floors refinished. I sighed at the thought of the verbal battle this would entail, not only with Lady Canning, who had originally conceived the idea for the hospital, and who chaired the establishment's ladies' committee, but also with the men's committee. Those gentlemen in a short time had already proved to be very miserly fellows. I was halted in my mission by the distinctive thud of the door-knocker, a silly thing in the shape of a leopard's jaw. It was obviously an absurdity of the original owner, and I intended to have it replaced with something far more dignified. I hurried back to the door and opened it. Before me stood a scowling, middle-aged woman, wearing a bonnet that seemed far more fashionable than her dress. I wondered if she had borrowed the hat. "Miss Nightingale?" the woman asked, still looking all the world as if she were angry with me. "Yes? How may I help you?" I did hope she wasn't about to ruin my day. "I'm here to apply," she said stoutly, her threadbare reticule slapping against her midsection as she crossed her arms in front of her. I raised an eyebrow. "To apply for what, Mrs.
"Gilbert. Maisie Gilbert. I understand you're the new superintendent here. My husband has left me and I need work, so I've come to join as one of your nurses."
This was curious. I had not advertised for any new staff members. So much had been happening that I hardly knew who was on staff as it was. "I see," I said. As I considered the woman before me, she began scowling again.
"Will you not let me in?"
I opened the door and stepped back. Of course. Maisie Gilbert swept in and surveyed the entry hall with apparent disdain.
"This does not look like a hospital. I have visited St. Bart's, you see."
I was actually amused by the woman as I shut the door and turned back to address her. "Indeed?" I asked. "The more important question is, for whom have you served as a nurse?" I could tell she was resisting the urge to roll her eyes.
"I cannot say that I've taken on a position in the formal sense, but I did my father..."